And of course, we'll be going into our second conversation, which will be examining 8 years of the free senior high school policy and what has worked for us, what hasn't, and what needs to be changed. On that conversation, we'll have with us a representative from NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, join us. But you're welcome once again to The Big Issue. My name is Beatrice Edu, and I was giving you details of that press conference held by the Attorney General yesterday. And I did mention the buffer stock company and what the executive director allegedly used state money for. He's already been charged, and we'll go into that. The Attorney General intends to go to the court tomorrow to file those charges. But the AG revealed some interesting facts as well. The 1.6 million Ghana cedis, which we talked about earlier in the day when we opened the show, $1 million, 5-bedroom apartment bought at Chain Homes, among others. He also went on to talk about what the wife allegedly also had about 61 luxury bags. And I want us to watch the AG, and I'll give you an idea how much it costs to have a luxury bag, so that you have an idea in terms of which bag she has and how much it could have cost her. But let's watch the Attorney General, just a bit of what he told us yesterday.
Within the period between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab, in concert with Richard Samasanti and Bismarck Owusu-Boakye, orchestrated a transfer of 78,269,084 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos from the bank accounts of Buffer Stock Company to a private company linked to Hanan Abdul Wahab, his wife, and staff of Buffer Stock at Republic Bank and EcoBank. We have decided to charge Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, with stealing, conspiracy to steal, causing financial loss to the state, using public office for profit, obtaining public property by false statements, and money laundering. We have frozen all the assets of Hanan that I have listed, including a 10 million Ghana cedis fixed deposit account at Republic Bank, Labone branch. That is the liquid assets. They also, had a lot of bags. I didn't want to list them. The wife has over 61 luxury bags. All right. Name them. He himself was buying watches, some costing as much as 1.5 million Ghana cedis and so on. We have taken note of all of them, and so we've done the freezing, including those of the vehicle.
So the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, giving us a bit of detail regarding the case that he has investigated, of course, a number of cases. But I want us to just narrow it down really to the Buffer Stock Company and what the AG alleged that the former CEO used the money from the over 40 million Ghana cedis, what he used that money for. Let's just run you through that very quickly. Yes, so properties acquired with the proceeds, what he called proceeds of crime, 5-bedroom house at Chain Homes. I was telling you that earlier, $1.625 million. Also a 3-bedroom house at Cantonment, which cost about $600,000. Plot of land at Airport Development that cost him about $750,000. A 17-bedroom boutique hotel at Gomani in Tamale in the northern region, costing about $250,000. A 4-bedroom bungalow situated at Jowolo in Accra, about 4.142 million Ghana cedis. And also, he's alleged to have purchased some 32-acre government land, costing about 2.567 million Ghana cedis. Now, you can imagine that the figures that were mentioned by the Attorney General, we've put all of them on our code cards. You can find them on our Facebook page and other social media pages as well. So these are the charges. And you heard the Attorney General read to us yesterday, and we even repeated that you stealing, also conspiracy to steal, willfully causing financial loss to the state, using public office for profit. also obtaining public property by false statement, and money laundering. So these are the charges filed by the Attorney General. He said he's going to court with them tomorrow. But I was telling you that the AG also did mention that the wife, who apparently had about 14,000 cedis as her salary, with her husband 28,000 cedis monthly salary. The wife also had some 61 luxury bags. And I want to give you an idea, really, how much a luxury bag generally costs. It ranges from $300 to some 139,000 US dollars. Luxury bags, and it depends on the brand. So I'll just mention a few brands to you based on. So that's 300 to 139,000 US dollars.
Doing for 250,000.
So there is a Tory Romy suede bucket bag, approximately 395 US dollars. Marc Jacobs, 450 US dollars. Louis Vuitton, that's about 3,100 US dollars. Gucci, that's 3,300 US dollars. There's also Birkin, which cost about, and that is even at auction, it cost about 137,500 US dollars. So that's just an idea, averagely, how much it costs. We also do know that shortly after that press conference held by the Attorney General, Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab went to his Facebook page and gave us a response denying the claims against the against him by the Attorney General. And I'll just read that statement to you. He said, "My attention has been drawn to recent statement made by the Honorable Attorney General during a press conference, a press engagement in which my name was mentioned in connection with allegations of corruption." He went on to say that I wish to state respectfully that these claims are untrue and do not reflect the facts of the matter. I have no involvement in the issues being referred to, and I find the comment deeply unfortunate. I have asked my legal representatives to review the situation and to advise on the appropriate steps to protect my reputation. I look forward to the opportunity to present my side and to have my day in court, where I am confident that the truth will be made clear. I remain fully committed to the principles of honesty, transparency, and integrity that have guided my work throughout my career. So that was that statement issued by Abdul Wahab Hanan Alu Diba yesterday. But we'll start the conversation on this one, and we'll go to that NSS scandal that we know the two individuals have been charged already. Let me start with you, Professor Benedicta Fosu-Mensah. Listening to the AG again, and once again referring to another case as a rumble in the jungle. Your thoughts on what the AG presented to us in the afternoon of yesterday?
Okay, thank you. Good morning once again to you and to Auntie Rhoda. And good morning to our cherished viewers. Beatrice, I must say that I'm really quite sad this morning. In fact, since yesterday, after listening to the AG, and very sad as a Ghanaian. And I know there are many out there who are also very sad, looking at what we went through the past 8 years. It's so mind-boggling that an individual could do such a thing. And for me, I see it as wickedness to the highest degree. We remember very well in this country, there came a time where school children, the SHS students didn't have food to eat. I remember very well my daughter made a remark that they were giving beans and gari, and they had 2 spoons of beans in a dining hall.
2
and
spoons,
so
table
2 spoons,
or, as in
2
ladle
tables.
Or table
in fact, so when she said it, I corrected her and I said, no, ladle, not spoon. And he said, no, spoon, tablespoon, the one they used to eat. 2 spoons per student. There were days they ate cocoa without sugar.
No bread.
No bread, nothing. That was the kind of food that was given to them. We remember very well in this country, there came a point where food suppliers went to picket the office of the buffer stock, demanding for payment of their money, food they supplied for months and some were in years in arrears. And they said there was no money. Today, look at the revelation that we are having. How people deliberately just looted state funds as if there was no tomorrow. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And for me, I know many Ghanaians woke up today, and several times many have indicated that if the NDC and John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency's government, would not do anything in terms of development, but just carry out this oral operation and bring perpetrators to book, they'll be more than the word happy. And many out there are waiting to see justice, because this is the highest form of wickedness one can think about, if these allegations are indeed true. And I know the Attorney General is doing a very good job. Like he indicated, many wish to, start seeing people in jail, people, prosecuted, but it looks like justice is being slow.
That's the main concern of
And
people.
yes, and it's because he indicated the oral team, what they did was to get all the allegations, all the information that they need. They put it together and then investigation commenced. We all know that prosecution is not just an allegation that, you've gone to steal. There are times, even when your hand is on the item and you are carrying it away, lawyers will say that, well, maybe you just touched it for one reason or another, but they want to make sure that you have lifted the item and you have indeed kept it in your room before they say that you have stolen it. So it's very important that proper investigation is done, facts are established, so that when he goes to court, another lawyer will not come and rubbish whatever that is done. And when that is done, when a case is sent to court, and another lawyer comes to rubbish it, and it's like your facts are not indeed facts, you should go back and check. It's kind of quench the fire and also dent your integrity, because it looks like you did not do your homework. And he indicated that when
yes,
that happens, it looks like you are incompetent. And so he is doing due diligence to make sure that he really established the fact, so that when he gets to court, the facts are there. And it makes the process even faster, because now you do not be go make more investigation and come. And so for me, yes, we all feel that the level of corruption we saw in the past 8 years is mind-boggling, and we want to really see people in jail, people who have broken the law, people who felt that state property became individual property, and so they looted as if there was no tomorrow. We will want to see such people punished. And so we know we are all yearning for the prosecution to be fast, but as I indicated, there are times investigation takes a long time. At times you need to really bring a lot of people, because when you look at the buffer stock company's case, for example, I'm sure the oral team wouldn't have given these details, these nitty-gritty of even trying to find out the number of design bags the wife had, the number of properties that these individuals have. And so the further investigation is bringing out this. And, there's a statement that when you want to see the true length of a frog, it's when it dies. And indeed, we are seeing the true length of corruption under the MPP regime now, because we have the opportunity to really investigate these individuals. Though you can imagine buffer stock. This is what we are seeing. So what we will see when the finance minister comes, what we will see if the road minister, for example, is investigated. This just shows that the 8 years was not really 8 years for governance, but 8 years of looting, 8 years of just impoverishing individuals, 8 years of putting pain in the hearts and in the minds of individuals. And so for us as as Ghanaians, we would really want to see these oral projects, really completed, because it's just unbelievable.
It's just unbelievable. I'll be coming to Madam
unbelievable.
Ayana very quickly, but I want to take you back a bit. Of course, the AG mentioned that as a private lawyer, he wasn't incompetent. So it is not when he's become an attorney general that he will be incompetent, which is why he's taking his time to ensure that he gets all his T's crossed and all his I's dotted. But you've had a member of the oral team, former Auditor General Daniel Domlevo, coming out to say that they did their investigations and they've submitted it to you. Why does it have to take this long, 9 months? Before you're still telling us about cases you're investigating and all of that? At least by now, we should have seen some prosecutions, in as much as it is admitted that investigations do take time.
Yes, I agree with you that, yes, we are all yearning because of the level of corruption we have witnessed. But the AG indicated the fact that there are a lot of investigation, and they are taking one at a time. At the moment, they have concluded on a number of them. I think about 5 or 6, if I get my facts right. And by tomorrow, these individuals will be put before court. And so it's about a process. I also believe that probably the AG department also need more hands, because the issues are many, and the nitty-gritty is also very important. Because, for example, the buffer stock, again, as an example, if we just say the man was corrupt, he might embezzle this amount of money. What did he use the money for? What are the property? What are the things that we can pinpoint and say that the money that were stolen were used for this A, B, C, D? These nitty-gritty are very important. And so for Domelevo, yes, he is not saying that the AG is so slow, but it's a desire, of course, because of the level of corruption. We all desire that by now people should even start going to jail, because it means that the prosecution process would have ended and people jailed. But again, I would say that we all need to hasten slowly, because investigation takes time and the issues are many. But the good news is that from tomorrow onwards, we are seeing a number of cases going to court, and then prosecution will start and individual will be.
I'm coming to you, Madam Ayana, because yes, the AG also told us that the asset of Mr. Wahab had been frozen as at the time he was speaking to us. But really, he describing this thing again as a rumble in the jungle, and how much was used, and even the process, transferring it from one place, then from that place to another, and eventually being used for what it was used for.
Good morning to our viewers. Good morning, a special good morning to the people of Pusiga this morning. And I'd like to tell you that, yes, I'm sitting here this morning to talk about one of us, a brother. Hanan is a brother. So I would want to ask for your forgiveness if I talk bluntly, as it is, because that's how it's supposed to be. Beatrice, I was shocked to the core when I saw the lists. We have lived in this country, we have seen corruption. At least I have seen a level of it during the AFRC time, when Rawlings came out and was mentioning the ills of people. And last night, I just told myself, I wish Jerry Rawlings had waited for that revolution. It should have been now. Because we have seen a level of corruption, wickedness, immorality than any other government that we have had since independence. The allegations, I know my fellow Accra will come very soon and say there are allegations. Yes, there are allegations, but there's no smoke without fire. And since this has gone through a process and the AG is telling us that this is what I have seen, we are bound to talk about it and state it as it is, as allegations. You are innocent until proven guilty. That's the law. So I am asking, what kind of a person would within, let's not say 8 years, within 6, 7 years, amass such wealth? Is it that the rest of us are not working? We don't work, so we can't acquire this kinds of wealth. You see, it just tells you the level of corruption within the society. And you ask again, why? It is because people are beginning to buy class. You understand? People in this country are beginning to buy class. That is what is worrying us. So everybody wants to live a certain lifestyle. What have you got to do with 61 designer bags? Where are you going with it? What do you understand by designer bag? You understand what I'm saying? If not for the fact that you've got cheap money, would you ever have taken that kind of money if you were working, if your husband was working and earning 28,000? Would you ever have taken that money to buy a designer bag? And for my brother to go and buy watches, it's an insult to the people of Pusiga. Why didn't you go and put up a factory there? He had money. If you went there to stand as a member of parliament and you were taking people to Hajj, you were building things, you were giving motorbikes for free, you were spending for free, people were telling me. But nobody could ask you where you are getting your money from. At the end of it, now we are being told that you are being charged for these things. Why didn't you go? If he had gone and built some factory, some school, some hospital, anything in Pusiga or any part of the northern region, apart from that hotel, which is a different issue altogether in Tamale. But I'm talking about the people you wanted to represent. When you went there and you had all these sums of money, you had stolen all this allegedly, why didn't you go and put up a factory? I would have clapped for him. At least the people of Pusiga would have had jobs to do. But you cannot ask me to sit here and not say anything about it because he's a brother. No. Being a brother doesn't change things. Even Bill Gates doesn't wear gold watches. If you've watched, he uses cheap phones. So what is it? What is it that makes people to just want to amass wealth, everybody wants to live at cantonments? Now you go and buy a house at a chain homes where a president lives. Since when did you get that kind of money? When did you come to Accra? For you to be able to go and get a house at not any other place, but chain homes. What work have you done? Does you know how many people have been struggling? They get up in the morning from 4:30, they don't do anything, and they work so hard to get something for their families and can't even afford a decent accommodation.
But people would, you were given an example of, for instance, using the money for developmental projects in Pusiga.
I'm saying if you had.
People would say that it's still wrong to steal money to use it for a purpose that's not designed for it.
But at least there would have been a bit of sympathy. Because the people would have thought, he stole the money, but he used it to make this and look for jobs for people and stuff. People would have looked at it differently. But to the extent that you stole the money and bought watches and bags, you understand, and cars, and then you go and build a hotel in Tamale, you go and build, you acquire almost all your properties in Accra, in nice places. And I don't understand why it is always government exposed, government people who get state lands. I get so pissed.
So that should tell you of the failure in the system.
Exactly.
Shouldn't it?
There is a failure in the system. Why is it that politically exposed persons, people, politicians, people who know somebody, they are always the ones who get the state lands? And these state lands don't have any problems. Yet the ordinary Ghanaian on the street, when he's looking for land, is going to Oyibi, is going to Kaswa, waterlogged. That's where they go. They who are supposed to be supported, the state does not give them state housing, and yet gives the nice places that would have made it easy for them to build to people who can afford to go to Kaswa and fill the land. Why?
How would you say, what would you tell people who would argue that perhaps we have this level of greed in the system, in this country, because the system is designed such that it's unfair to a lot of people. So anybody who gets the least opportunity want to exploit the avenues to get as much as possible?
Apart from the system, it's our moral upbringing. You know the number of churches and mosques around this country? Most churches are preaching wealth creation, not morality. Unfortunately, Hanan is a Muslim, and Islam frowns on exactly what he's supposed to have done. Why do you go and steal money from poor people? Because look, that villager who is sitting there, the old lady who is sitting in their village and not getting enough to even go and do proper medical care is because of this corruption. Our children were in schools not getting food to eat, and you and your wife were buying bags and watches. And you think that is good? It's not right. There was a time, there was an allegation that bags of cereals that came into the buffer stock zone were shortchanged. So you have a whole bag of 50
expired products.
We had expired products. Our children were eating expired products. I remember Zuarungu Secondary School, where they had to go and throw the whole thing out, and so many other things. So didn't you have any sense of guilt, conscience, to tell you that what I am doing, I'm being greedy? Why? I mean, I don't understand. Why couldn't you just stick to what you could afford? Why? So if we decided that, oh, okay, then everybody can, when you get to office, just chop the money as you like, then there would have been no money. There would have been no money because people came before you. So why is it that people are complaining that you have taken this? You understand? So at the end of it, I am saying that I am asking, really, not saying, but I'm asking the Attorney General to make sure that this thing is swift. The special courts should come and that should be swift. And everyone who is involved in this must pay.
And of course, the reason people are complaining about the nature and the pace of investigations, because these things have gone on because there's no accountability and people just continue to do what they have to do and nobody holds them accountable.
Well, we had a failed government for 8 years. I don't think that the MPP under Nana-Addo, I don't think Nana-Addo was in control. And the reason why I'm saying this is because he has come out to say that one of the blind sides of him, the bad things that as a person he felt was the poverty and whatnot, the suffering that he had created for the Ghanaian with that haircut and the bond situation. So if you could sit there and these things happen and you didn't have your eye on everything else, then it meant that you were just there and everybody was doing whatever they wanted. There was this case of people being employed, I think it was the CEO of the trade fair, who went there and sacked everybody and brought her own rules, brought her own people, and nothing was done. There were so many issues in this country. But then, if you look at the things that are coming out, we had somebody putting 10 air conditions in a 2 or 3 bedroom house, and we sat in this country. He ended up coming to build a house next to my house, day and night, underground, everything. And we are still, well, it's in court, and let's hope that something will be done. But all I am saying is that, please, for the young people and for those who are given opportunities to serve in government, we did not give you that position to come and build a class system for yourself, where you think that you have to buy designer clothes, you have to buy designer bags, you have to buy designer shoes and designer socks, and you have to go to the best restaurants that are around. It's for those who work hard and earn their money. It's not for you to take our money and enjoy those things. It is wrong. It is criminal. And anyone who is caught must be jailed for no less than even 40 years. That's a lifetime.
And I want to come back to you, Professor Fosu-Mensah, before I come to Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu, Auntie Gloria, who's joined us via video call. We've heard Madam Ayana talk about the fact that the former president was not in control. That's a point you made indirectly as well when you said that the last 8 years we've had this loot to just go unchecked. Again, people will say that democracy is supposed to be the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And so the president, where he's seated, may not be able to see everything. That's why there are institutions, ensure that there are periodic audits and all of that. If you do not do that, then you get to the point where it gets to that grand stage where now you have the Attorney General coming to tell us that. So the systems that are supposed to be checking these, like I mentioned earlier, have failed, and we should be holding those individuals equally accountable. You don't think so?
Well, it's a yes or no answer. But I want to explain further. In fact, for the first time in the history of this country, we saw a president defending wrongdoings. We saw a president defending allegation of corruption, even before investigation. Akunta Mining is a clear example. When Akunta Mining was accused of mining with their license, our president defended it. That was unthinkable. That was unacceptable. I don't know why the president went that tangent to defend a company that was engaged in illegality. So if you have a president defending somebody who was carrying out or doing wrong thing, what do you think the investigation will end? We again saw our president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, defending Cecilia Dapa when she was accused, well, an allegation, though there were facts there because she said that her money was stolen and the amount was mind-boggling. How somebody could keep such amount of money in her house to the extent that the money was being stolen bit by bit without her knowledge. It was because she has so much, so she couldn't even keep a record of the amount of money she had. We had our president defending it, saying that he knows that Cecilia Dapa will come clean. So how do you expect an institution, probably the head of the institution that was appointed by the president, to find Cecilia Dapa guilty if the president have already defended her? So, of course, it looks like some of our institutions have failed us. But the action and inaction of the leader at that time, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also contributed to it. Again, you remember very well the Takoradi girls, the missing girls, and then Madam Tiwa, when she came saying that we know where the girls are, it turned out to be false. There were allegations of corruption of the two deputy chief of staff. When A+ raised it, Tiwa was on record to have called him saying that he was embarrassing the government. This was a woman, or this is a woman who was supposed to have investigated these individuals. And this woman is calling the whistleblower that, look, you are embarrassing our government.
But is that not what politicians do? Politicians from both sides do that. That's sometimes when people go beyond what they think should be normal, they would say that you're embarrassing the government. They could call you behind closed doors to caution you.
Of course, if you have a government that we can say is corrupt, I don't think His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will condone any wrongdoing in his administration. He is on record to have prosecuted his own. And so that is a clear example of somebody who frown on wrongdoing, not somebody who will come and defend wrongdoing. How do you expect Madam Tiwa to investigate the two deputy chief of staff when she was on record to have said you are embarrassing our government, you are embarrassing the president? So of course the action and inaction of leaders have also contributed significantly to the failure of our institution. And I think that is where we need to actually separate this institution from the influence of government.
Let me get the thoughts of Auntie Gloria, a lawyer as well. Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you again for joining us.
Good morning, Beatrice. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. And good morning to the distinguished panel and all our viewers.
Auntie Gloria, if you kindly, yes, we can. If you could kindly sit up just a little bit so we can, yes, we've just moved back a little bit so we are able to see. Exactly, please, go ahead with your point.
Yes. I guess Ghanaians are now very, very tired of all these accusations, counter-accusations, and all of it. I remember after the President Kufuor government went out of power, there was this accusation against one of them. I think the Honorable Asamoah Boateng and his wife at the time. And we're all watching, waiting. I don't know what came out of that case. I think eventually they were acquitted and discharged. Then the Akufo-Addo regime also came in, and then Woyomi was the star accused person. It went on, and I remember he went to the Human Rights Court in Arusha, Tanzania. In fact, I remember I was on a flight with him at the time, and I saw him at the Kenya lounge and all that. And then we went on and on and on. Then we had the Opuni trial, and we had the, I can go on, I can list all these trials, okay? And then the President Mahama regime comes, and all the star accused persons, amazingly, the Attorney General, that's Honorable Anyeni, says that there's no, he files a nolle prosequi, which means that the prosecution have ended the case and the defendants are released from charges. And, it's all so confusing. Then we come to another drama. Now what's his name? The buffer stock person, the national service person. Ghanaians are exhausted. We are tired. We don't even know what to do. Then the same Attorney General who has, discontinued the prosecution of all these operatives is now coming up with prosecution of a tall list of other allegations against other persons belonging to the past NPP regime. It is sickening. It is tiresome. For once, let's have the rules of natural justice prevailing. What are the two foundations of natural justice? The first one is, don't be a judge in your own courts. Nemo judes in causa sua.
You think that's what he is doing?
Wait, don't be a judge in your own courts. That's number one. Then the second rule is that all the alteram pattern. Let's hear both sides. Now, the question is, with the AG coming on with all the continuation of this release of other people, but then trying to prosecute other people and telling us from his own court in the media, doesn't it violate a principle of natural justice? That's number one. Number two, telling us his side without us hearing the other side. Isn't there also another violation of the principles of natural justice? One, don't be a judge in your own court. And two, give the other side the opportunity to be heard. So please, we are tired. We are so tired. We don't want any breach of the rules of natural justice by the Attorney General. Not anymore. Ghanaians want to hear both sides, and we don't want him to be a judge in his own court. The courts are there. Unfortunately, the Chief Justice was, violently removed. In manners that some of us are still not happy about. But, we still have the courts. The courts are there. Let him go to court. After whatever, we will be reading the trial, following the hearings. And then if there's a decision taken, if the prosecution is not discontinued, then we can come up with, we can teach as lecturers that this is what transpired, this is what happened, this was the decision, or this was not the decision. Please remember one thing: when a nolle prosequi is filed, it doesn't mean that the parties have been acquitted. It means the state may refile charges. So those who have benefited from the nolle prosequi should know that the state can refile charges. Thank you. Okay, so
you are claiming that the Attorney General has acquitted certain individuals or filed nolle prosequi.
Now claiming, are we not in Ghana?
Yes, but
look at the history. We are studying it. We are all watching it.
Auntie Gloria, if you would allow me to ask my question, the inference I'm getting from that statement is that you think the Attorney General is doing political and selective prosecution. That's what you're claiming.
No, I believe as a lawyer that the Attorney General is rather breaching the rules of natural justice.
But earlier you mentioned that NPP representatives are rather being prosecuted, whilst those who are seen to be associated with the governing party are being acquitted, and the AG has gone to court to file nolle prosequi.
There have been over 50 cases.
Yes,
there have been.
But again,
those are the facts.
Yes, but again,
I'm talking about facts.
Yes.
I'm not speculating.
You're aware that in July, the Attorney General directed Iyoko, for instance, to investigate 2 NDC executives involved in illegal mining, including Joseph Yamin. You don't think that that's also a sign of showing that irrespective of who you are, I'm going to come for you if I find evidence against you?
But how about those who were no longer, their prosecutions were stopped? How about that? And the numbers? So
you still stand by the fact that you think the AG is doing selective prosecution?
We are talking about facts, my dear. We are not speculating. We are talking about facts. We are talking about history.
Again, I heard you say that in previous years, we've seen governments come and they raise issues of allegation against certain individuals, and you don't see where those cases end up. Did I hear you say that perhaps you foresee that this is going...
I started with the Honorable Asamoah Boateng and his wife. You know, the drama went on and on and on and on. And, you know, they were acquitted and discharged. And I'm talking of Woyome. I don't know what happened to Woyome, but I remember there was a flight to Tanzania through Kenya that I happened to be on. And I know he went to the human rights court.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes. And
then we saw this drama of, you know, filing... what do you call it, no cases for about 50 persons by the present Attorney General. And then the drama continues. And this time we are hearing it from his side as a judge in his own court. And we are also hearing it from only one side. And those two are breaches of the rules of natural justice. The foundation of natural justice are 2. Don't be a judge in your own court. And let's always hear the other side. Always.
And you've made that point very clearly, but I just wanted to ask for clarity. Did you say that looking at the drama that was associated with the previous cases, that you're saying that you didn't even see the end of it? You foresee that these things would, or these cases that the AG is talking about would end up the same way? Is that what I hear you saying?
It's possible, because if the Oponik trial and all that has ended, because the AG says there's no need to, he does not wish to prosecute, what is going to happen to this?
But as a citizen and as a lawyer, I'm just wondering, aren't you worried about these revelations that have come up, irrespective of the individuals involved, and the fact that whether it's as a result of greed or institutional failure, we've had people launder such huge sums of money?
It's worrisome, but as I said, I'm a lawyer, the AG is a lawyer. We always want to hear both sides. Here he has said the guy has done, he has alleged that the guy has done this and that and that. And then the guy has also put it out on social media, not in the court. We are waiting for it to be in court, that it's not true and he stands by his integrity and all that. How can I be a judge in this matter? I can't. The courts are there. And that's why the judiciary should be treated with equal, you know, magnanimity as the executive. They're a very powerful part of our democracy. And so we need to see what they have to say and the decisions they have to make. And we just hope and pray that this time the Attorney General will not decide that he does not wish to prosecute.
From what you're saying, it seems obvious that you're not enthused about the Attorney General's modus operandi, as it were. But what are your expectations?
It's not a matter of I'm not enthused. As a former lecturer in administrative law, I don't know what to teach, because here we are saying that the principles and rules of natural justice. Don't be a judge in your own court, and always listen to the other side. Let's see the other side, the alternative. But we don't see it. So this is clearly a breach of the rules of natural justice, which are fundamental in our common law.
The AG's reason, as he's told us openly, for coming out with these charges, as it were, and also going to court.
And some other charges, right?
Well, he said he's going to court tomorrow with the charges that he read out to us yesterday. That those who are wondering, per your argument, whether or not the AG shouldn't prosecute at all, because at the end of the day, he's supposed to ensure that the state's money is used, prudently, and for the benefits of the Ghanaian people.
The AG must go to court, and then an independent judge or jury will listen to him. That is how the processes are done. He shouldn't come into the media and be a judge in his own court And he should, I keep repeating, I don't mind, it's so that others will understand me. And he should not let us hear only one side. Our courts are there to hear both sides, and our courts and judiciary are there with all the infrastructure, the judicial service, all the support. They are there to also be independent judges and jury in this alleged criminal matter, alleged.
During one of the press conferences,
involving all these suspects.
During one of the
convicts. They are suspects because they are suspected. But that is only after a court of law has listened to both sides, taking the evidence, then the court, can decide whether they are mere suspects who should be discharged or they are convicts who should be convicted. It's about time we saw that. For a long time, we've not seen that because the previous, there was the Honorable Asamoah Boateng, the Woyome, then the previous 50 or so cases that have been, where the AG says he does not wish to prosecute. And now we have this set of cases. I'll call them upcoming dramas so far.
During one of the press conferences by the Attorney General, he did answer the question about why he's coming out publicly. He said that these are serious cases that a lot of Ghanaians are interested in. And at least as an Attorney General, he has the duty to update Ghanaians on how far investigations have gone and even what charges have been preferred against these individuals. And we even know that as at now, Edubuahin has been charged. His case is ongoing. Gift Yoware, as well as the former executive director of NSS, all have been charged. And he says that these updates are necessary to keep Ghanaians updated on what's going on. You don't think that is important?
Why did he not update us when it came to his decision not to, to prosecute the other matters? We also need an update. We need an update, and it's also in the interest of those persons for us to have an update because it does not amount to an acquittal. And the state may, at some point in time, refile those charges.
Let me get your final thoughts on this moving forward, then I'll come to the rest of the panel here. Perhaps I'll let you hold on because they may have some questions for you that you may have to respond to.
The panels are the ones asking me questions, isn't I?
No, of course, but sometimes you make some points and there are some clarity, some clarity that they may need. But let me come to you, Madam Ayana, because I realized you were reacting when Auntie Gloria was talking.
Oh, no, I was just reacting to the fact that Auntie Gloria might think that this is another goose chase. And I just wanted to say that in this Fourth Republic, we have had people jailed. We had from 2018, some people were jailed. We've had, right from this Fourth Republic, we've had Victor Salome, we've had Chachu Chikata, we've had Bafo Boni, Ibrahim Adam, a Greek minister some time ago, William Tetevi, Alhaji Salifu Mimina Osman. And all these people were jailed for causing financial loss to the state. It took the same process, I believe. And these people were jailed during the era of the MPP, and they were all NDC members. So I am very sure that they went through a process, and they got to this level where they were all jailed for causing financial loss, some for conspiracy, and others for other reasons. So I think that we should give the AG the benefit of the doubt, and we should hope that he is going to go according to the laws of this country and do due diligence to whatever cases are before him, and that if people have to go to jail, yes, so be it. They will go to jail.
Auntie Gloria, if you could answer that. I'm just gleaning from what she's saying.
Making a statement.
Yes,
and
but
she's also referring to history.
Okay.
And there's even another one, what do you call it? During the 2012-2016 regime of President Mahama, some
started by late President Mills.
Of his, about two of President Mills and President Mahama. 2012-2016 was strictly President Mahama. It was 2009 to 2012, mid-2012 that we had President J.E.A. Mills. Now, there were some NDC persons, about 2 or 3, jailed, right? They were
jailed in 2018.
They were tried and then they were convicted for some funds involving the youth and employment.
That was in the Jida case.
Yes, that is also something that was done by the then president, involving his own people, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, which is commendable. However, we are talking about now where about 50 cases have been, there's been a decision that the Attorney General does not wish to prosecute. And then he turns around and comes into the media prosecuting some other cases. That is a breach
So we've had
the rules of natural justice. The right thing must be done. The cases must be determined in a court of law by independent judges and jury. And then we are watching, we are studying, we are looking at it.
We've had the Attorney General say that, and repeatedly, even yesterday, he did say that before you go to court and prosecute anybody, you must have that solid evidence. And that those, especially for those who are supporting the Attorney General, that if the Attorney General doesn't have that amount of evidence to prosecute, how do you expect him to go ahead with it? But again, the point I was making earlier as regards what I gleaned from what Madam Ayana said was that this same process has been used to prosecute both MPP and NDC members in the past. Are you now doubting the kind of process we have in place?
I'm not. That's why I'm saying the Attorney General should work with that process. I'm not.
So
that is democracy, the third arm of government, the judiciary. That is what they are there for.
What's the difference between that
to settle disputes, to work on disputes. So that is the process. So the process must be used, not the media, and then not social media. Because yesterday he said something at a press conference, then the suspect also said something on social media. Why don't we have the courts?
But at the end of the day,
or is it because a chief justice has been violently removed, so the courts don't exist? The courts are there.
You keep referring to the Chief Justice, which is not a subject we are discussing today. But the AG made it clear that he's going to court, and I said earlier as well.
Then please, he should go to court. We don't want anything in the media. It's a violation of the rules of natural justice.
Professor Fosu-Mensah, you want to react to what Auntie Gloria is saying?
I completely disagree with Auntie Gloria on her submission. I mean, what is the breach that the Attorney General is said to be doing? The Attorney General is only informing the public about the work he's done or the work he's doing.
But the argument
and I don't see it as, because the fact is that if we talk about natural justice or deny somebody natural justice, then we should be talking about His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when he cleared people before they were even sent to court.
So the argument is that the way the AG goes about presenting the information, to an extent that yesterday he again repeated rumble in the jungle, it's like you've already pronounced the person guilty before a court, before you even go to a court of competent jurisdiction.
The fact is that Ghanaians are eager. In fact, she made a statement that Ghanaians are tired of the drama. We are not tired. We are so eager. People are eager. People will crucify the NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's government if they fail to carry this oral process through. Ghanaians will be so disappointed in NDC. And I know that many NDC members will also be disappointed in their own party and government if we fail to prosecute this individual. Because the things we are talking about are not just stealing, but it is stealing that we can describe as wickedness to the highest degree. I mentioned the fact that there were schools that did not have food. They came to a point where head teachers were begging parents that, look, government is saying that we should not take PTA dues, but these are the facts on the table. If you do not come in and support, our children would die of hunger and malnutrition. But headmasters who came out to really voice out this fact were punished. These are facts. And I'm so surprised that Auntie Gloria is talking about gymnastics, is talking about, drama. At a point when school children, students did not have food to eat. At a point when students were lying on bare floor because there were no beds. At a point when students, young as 12, 14 years were made to rent rooms outside school compound because they were, you know, their parents were far and they were given board day placement, and so they had to go outside the school to rent, you know, just exposed to social vices and all kinds of things. We had people who had state resources embezzling this fund, stealing the funds as if there was no tomorrow. And today, we are doing investigation, bringing out the nitty-gritty about the funds that were stolen, what the funds were used for. And Auntie Gloria is on record to say that this is drama. I don't think this is drama. I don't think Ghanaians are tired of, you know, hearing or trying to get updates on what this government is doing as far as oral is concerned. And as I said, there were many Ghanaians who might have voted for the NDC and, for that matter, John Dramani Mahama, because they promised them that they were going to make sure that the people who looted state funds as if there was no tomorrow, they will be prosecuted. And so the NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama are just keeping faith with the people and what they promised to do. The Attorney General is not doing anything wrong, but Ghanaians want to know what he's been doing all this while. And by updating us, at least we know that 5 cases are ready to go to court. And Ghanaians are happy and yearning to see what will happen tomorrow. So I beg her pardon, please. We are not tired. We are yearning for more.
Auntie Gloria, the concern which I raised with you earlier.
I just want to say that your last panelist has deviated.
Okay.
I'm not talking about children. I'm not talking about the youth.
So the point she's...
Are you listening?
Yes, I am listening.
The point she's made is deviation. I'm not talking about children. I'm not talking about youth. They are very precious. They are our future. They are you know, they will constitute the future leaders of Ghana. They must be treated with all the utmost respect and protection. I'm not. I'm talking of the jungle law that is going on in terms of prosecutions. For example, let me give you a simple life example. There's this gentleman who went to Kolebu. He was sick and he was given some medical, I think he had a report that he had to go and purchase medication. This is a true life story. He got to Abosi Okai, and unfortunately, at just that time, they had shouted that there was a thief around. So they started rushing, and they rushed on him, beat him mercilessly. He kept saying, "I'm not a thief. I'm not a thief." They were about to lynch him when a good Samaritan got there and said, "What's going?" He said, "I'm from Kolebu. Look at my lab, my medical and lab request. Look." So the good Samaritan saved him and took him to the nearby police station. If the good Samaritan had not come to listen to the other side of his story, he would have been lynched. And I'm sure a number of people have been lynched in that way. So I'm saying that let's hear both sides. In fact, that's the rule of natural justice. I'm not saying we don't care about the children. I care. I'm a mother.
So
I'm a children's rights activist. So please, you should not speculate that I don't care and I don't want the children. What's the meaning
so
of
this
that?
is the import.
The import is that let's hear the other side and let's have an independent judge. Yes, that is it.
Yes, that's excellent.
So the rules of natural justice that are being breached.
Yes, and I think that, like I said earlier, the AG has made it clear that he's going to court with the cases that he the charges.
He should go to court.
Yes,
and not judge it himself in the media.
The charges that he read to us yesterday. But I just want to get to you the import of the other side of the argument made by Professor Fosu Mensah, which is that it seems these things have happened at the expense of the suffering Ghanaian and children who are supposed to have benefited from the monies that were misused. And so it is wrong for you to describe what's going on as drama and all the other words you use.
No, I don't want her to judge me in the media. I just want to say that there must be systems. We must build strong institutions, strong systems. I remember during President Kufuor's tenure, there was a Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation. And people were, Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation. And some people were like, what is the role of that ministry? We all know in project management that if you have a project or you have a system or an institution ongoing, there must be some reporting systems, some monitoring system, some evaluating system to see the outcomes. We need that. I believe this government and any other government must have a ministry that monitors and evaluates other ministries.
So that was actually in 2017. That ministry was in 2017 under the first term of... Exactly, yes.
I thank you for correcting. The Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation is a necessity, it's a must. And then, of course, we have the Auditor General, we have the other, Parliament's accounting committee and all that. But we need a ministry that will monitor every ministry, agency, or department of state, so that periodically, maybe quarterly, there'll be reports to find out what is going on. There are all these reporting lines. And then even their findings should be made public so that we can all, we the voters, we the public, we the taxpayers, we the citizens of Ghana, will be able to know what is going on. We shouldn't wait for a government to be voted out and then we'll say the government does this, that. On the media, and then the other party will say, no, I didn't do that, and I'll fight for my integrity on social media.
Auntie Gloria,
it's ridiculous.
Shouldn't it be more of enforcing our laws and ensuring that our institutions work instead of bringing in more agencies?
Because
just a second, because you already have IOCO, you have Office of Special Prosecutor. You also do have internal and external auditors that are supposed to be periodically doing these things. You even have the police service and other agencies that are supposed to be collaborating and ensuring that the moment there's a glitch somewhere, they are investigated in time and we don't wait until it gets to the fall and we come back and say that the whole world, look at what has happened. It should be more of enforcing our laws and strengthening our institutions to work. You don't think so?
No, we should do preventive more than defensive. We should do preventive because we are all concerned. Assuming all these allegations, if they turn out to be right, that would be so sad. We should do more of the preventive. We shouldn't wait for IOCO and the police and the AG to start prosecuting. Okay, we should make sure we prevent. We have institutions, including the Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation, that will respond to the citizens, that will tell us what is going on, that will prevent this alleged looting of state resources and alleged mismanagement of state resources. Because every government comes in with something, and unfortunately, when the new one comes, you will find the AG saying that we do not wish to prosecute. We can't go on in that cycle. We can't. It's not good for us. It's also not a good. Let me learn. It's also not a good example for our youth and our children who be leaders in the next how many years? 30, 40, 50. When some of us may not even be around. Okay, so let's look at perpetuity. Let's look at a cycle. I remember when President Obama came here, he said that we should look at strengthening institutions and not strong men. Government should not evolve around strong men or women. It should evolve around institutions. And even the technocrats. I always say that usually we talk of the frontliners, the politicians. But who are those technocrats in institutions who allow this mismanagement?
We've seen reports that suggest that they have been equally corrupt. We've seen that.
In fact, without the technocrats, how can a frontliner even know what is going on and be able to mismanage? So we should put responsibility also on the technocrats. Who are the technocrats in those institutions? Who are the technocrats? They shouldn't hide. We should look at them. We should investigate. If it's possible, they can also answer to charges and be tried.
And I'll come back to you, Auntie Gloria, for your final word. But let me get the final thought on this from the panel here. I'm starting with you, Madam Ayana.
Okay, we've just started with Anan, but Anan is not the only one that's been mentioned. We still have the National Service.
The Sky Train, DRIP, among others.
And all that. And you see that the kind of corruption. And then you look at the things again, it's all of them have to do with houses being bought, watches being bought, and all manner of things. So it just means that we are sick in the head, most of us, honestly, in government. If you can look at your own people drinking water with animals. You can look at people who cannot even afford decent meals a day, decent housing, and you still get the opportunity to make changes in people's lives. And all you do is to go and loot for yourself and to get yourself enriched for buying unnecessary things. Then there's something wrong, definitely, with your head. But I think that Auntie Gloria has said a lot of stuff. The whole thing is, going to court is what is going to give them the opportunity to defend themselves. And since the AG has decided that they will go to court, we'll wait for the AG to go to court with them, and then they can defend themselves. And as for social media has come to stay. I mean, the CJ also, she mentions the CJ a lot. The CJ has fought her fight on social media most of the time, because that's where a lot of people get all the information that they get. So social media is here for us to stay, is here to stay. At the end of it all, I just want to say that this corruption that we have mentioned is one of the things that Ghanaians looked at before voting for the Mahama administration. And the whole thing was that we want you to retrieve our monies, we want you to punish all those who have embezzled funds. And I'm hoping and praying that that is exactly what this government is out to do. I don't think that I have any doubt in my mind at all that this thing is going to come to fruition. My only fear is that in the later stages, let's not have any chiefs and opinion leaders and people with some form of influence come out and plead on behalf of these people. We would not want to see that, because at the end of the day, it would then turn to the same thing again. You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
And nothing happens.
I think if we get to that level, it will be an opportunity for the Ghanaian populace to rise up.
I want us to watch the Attorney General and the details he gave us on the National Service Secretariat scandal as well. And then I'll come back to take, again, the final words of both Professor Ofosu-Mensah as well as Auntie Gloria. Watch this.
We have filed charges against the former Chief Executive, Executive Director, Osea Sibe-Ntwi, and his deputy, Gifty Owari. Charges are being prepared against the rest of the public officers and the so-called marketplace vendors. In all, we intend to file about 10 cases in the NSA scandal and will use some of the public officers and vendors as prosecution witnesses. Now, this is a strategy that is working very well for us, and we intend to continue to use that strategy. In a situation where there is a small criminal among big criminals, and the small criminal knows a lot, it is better as a matter of prosecutorial strategy to use a small criminal to get the information in order to be able to succeed, and that is what I'm doing. Also, I wish to announce that the Auditor General has conducted a forensic audit into the NSA, the National Service Scandal, and the total amount of money stolen or illegally spent now stands at 2.2 billion, and not the 548 million that was uncovered by my investigators as at June 2025. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here a copy of the Auditor General's report. Again, painstaking investigation is very important in criminal matters. And so, based upon what the Auditor General has done, and this is a forensic audit, okay? Forensic audit means that they've gone beyond what ordinary, auditing would have done. And so, we are going to, based upon this, in some cases, change the charge, amend our charge sheets in order to bring fresh charges.
And you watched once again the Attorney General giving us those specific details regarding the NSS scandal. I want to come to you, Auntie Gloria, because you're a lawyer. We heard the AG talk about the strategy he's using in this case, using prosecution witnesses, as in the small fishes, to get the information he needs to prosecute the bigger ones, and also referring to the forensic audit. What do you foresee? How difficult or easy will it be for the Attorney General going on this tangent as regards strategy?
The Attorney General must go to court. And just a point of correction, the Chief Justice always goes to court. She's filed a number of, actions. And in social media, I think it's reportage of those actions. So it's not her fighting in social media, but reportage of those actions. So the Chief Justice must file all those suits and criminal, whatever, charges and all that, so that there's a hearing in a court of law, there's evidence taken from both sides, and then there are decisions of the courts. That's one thing. But I'll say that for those who come into public service, let's reorientate the minds, that public service and also working as a technocrat is to serve the nation, not to amass wealth, not to, do things on your own. But of course, since human beings are neither angels nor demons, I would say that there must be strong institutional systems to ensure that people do not, mess up with our resources. When I was younger, I remember I started working in a bank, and I worked in the banking hall, and I even worked in the high cash deposits, where we counted. With that, those days we didn't have machines, so we counted large bundles of cash with our fingers. But there were structures in that state that they did not even say, oh, we trust you, or you are an angel, or you're a demon. There were structures. You couldn't lose a peswa. If at the end of the day, a cashier or anybody, any person could not balance with the waste, the general waste, by even 1 peswa, you had to find a way of looking for that peswa and balancing. And if at the end of the quarter or a period where the whole banking hall had to balance and you still couldn't find your peswa, you had to work and ensure that you found it or paid for it. So it wasn't because the banks believe in us that we are angels and we are not angels, we are demons, but it's because there are structures there so that they wouldn't even, imagine that somebody will take a peswa from them. In the same way, when you work with development partners, there are always accounting structures. Every money spent, every peswa must have either a receipt or something acknowledging payments, spending. There must be a spending officer and accounting officer who are different. There are all these structures that we can learn from. Train our technocrats, train anybody who wants to go into public service in these structures so that they abide by it, instead of just leaving everybody to go for reasons best known to him or herself.
Excellent point on the structures. I'm not sure I got the answer to your thought on the strategy the AG is using and whether or not...
I don't want to know. He should take it to a court of law. Please, a court of law. Okay,
please hold on. I'll come back to you again. But Professor Ofosu-Mensah, your final thoughts on this subject.
Well, I want to say that we love what the AG is doing. It's important, and the public are happy to get updates from time to time on the work being done as far as this prosecution is concerned. And I know all the state institutions, one way or the other, the government have put structures in place to assess their performance. And so I know that part of the assessment of the AG is the number of cases he will send to court and the process of prosecution also commencing. But it's not enough, or Ghanaians would not be happy if the AG just carry out the investigation without, updating the public. And so from time to time, Ghanaians would want an update as far as these cases are concerned. Ghanaians are not tired about what Madam, I've just forgotten her name, described as drama. Auntie Gloria as being drama. Ghanaians are yearning to see more of such press conference updating them and giving details, because, for example, the Buffer Stock CEO was just being accused, allegedly being accused of stealing state fund, but we did not really have an idea about the quantum, about the extent of funds that we are talking about. And so he coming to tell the public what these funds are, I think it's something that we would want to see more of that. Again, the National Service Authority scandal, per the investigation, we were informed that it's about 500 million, but now he's talking about 2.2 billion. These updates are very important so that we know the extent of looting that we are talking about. It's on record that Honorable Kennedy Japan said that people do it. I mean, this is a member of the party, NPP, and said that they were looting as if there was no tomorrow. So this is the kind of looting we talked about. So we are now seeing the full length. And that's why I said that they say if you want to see the full length of a truth, it's when it dies. Now NPP is in opposition. So we are seeing the full length of the looting we are talking about. And so it's just proper that he comes to update. And again, going to court is an opportunity for the accused to defend himself, his or herself. And so I don't think it's a breach of natural justice if the Attorney General just come to inform public about what he is doing. But the opportunity will be given to the accused to defend himself in court. And that will commence from tomorrow.
A point you also made earlier, which I believe you want to agree with, is that preventative nature of our institutions that we should look forward to, instead of waiting for the fraud or toll to die for you to see
exactly. So His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is putting in place some prevention or preventive measure for people not to loot state funds. So, for example, from time to time they give them training. There is an assessment. Almost all the institutions have auditors that audit this fund. Again, as I said, President John Dramani Mahama is a president who will not condone wrongdoing. We had His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo defending wrongdoing, and that alone deter any institution to investigate this individual. But it's on record that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama prosecuted his own, even in government. And so he would not stop doing that. He will do more if anybody falls far of the law.
Indeed, and I'm coming to you, Auntie Gloria, for your final word on this. Again, I did mention that it wasn't just, that press conference wasn't just about the buffer stock. There was DRIP, there was SkyTrain, NSS scandal that we've spoken briefly about. But on the DRIP, just asking your thought on a specific thing that the Attorney General said. He said that, for instance, JA Plant Pool was overpaid by some $2 million, a total sum of $178 million, but per what was on the paper, it was 176, and mentioned that the Ghana Revenue Authority had already and also evaded some taxes as well, amounting to some 3.8 million cedis in terms of tax that was evaded, and has asked the GRA to go for the money. Again, asking your thoughts on looking forward to the other cases that the AG mentioned, your own expectations, and that would be your final word on that before we move to our final topic. Hello, Auntie Gloria.
Natural justice, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll still go back to the rules of natural justice. There should be no issue of a person being a judge in his or her own court, and now should not be fed with only one-sided, investigating matters. The courts are there to listen to both sides. And then going forward, there will be future presidents, there will be future ministers, there will be future attorney generals. Let's have a benchmark for them. Let them abide by the rule of natural justice. Let them not just decide that they do not want to prosecute a certain matter, which is of national interest, involving state-owned funds. Let's have structures. Let's have structures. Let's have institutions that work, not strong men or women.
Let me get let me get your thoughts before we let you go on this issue about 8 years of the Free Senior High School. I'm sure you've monitored a number of issues that have come out of it. What, in your opinion, do you think has worked for us that we should improve on or maintain, and what really hasn't been so good that you believe the current government should work on dealing with?
I believe that the current government has the opportunity, to work on whatever they think are the issues, because the free SHS policy is beautiful. There are so many low-income families in Ghana who, without a free SHS policy, cannot educate their children to the, secondary level. And Ghana stands to benefit when we have an educated population in respect of even artisanal skills and vocational skills, and of course academic skills. So the policy is fantastic. 8 years has gone by. If we can monitor what happened in 8 years and what is happening now, and evaluate. Then the government has a chance through the MLE to look at the outcomes and see how best to move it forward. We should not lose the free SHS. We are still underdeveloped. We still have human resources. A large percentage of our populace are even illiterate. Even more women are illiterate than men. So we can't afford to lose their brains by developing them.
But as at now, you don't have an idea what should be corrected, because I remember even before.
Government.
But before
the government that brought the policy, the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, worked with that policy for 8 years.
And there were complaints
when
of
this new government
financial.
Was coming, they also had some proposals. So let them implement it. We are encouraging them to implement it so that future governments can also build on it and develop it. It's very important. There's no need sitting down saying, no, this went wrong, this went wrong. If it went wrong, fix it. You have the chance to fix it for other generations. Let's think generational. Let's not think today and this party and that party. Parties come and go, presidents come and go. But how about the future, the youth, the children?
All right.
And the country.
Thank you very much, Madam Gloria Foribwedu, Auntie Gloria. But let me get your reaction on this subject as well, Madam Ayana.
On the free SHS.
Free SHS,
If
yes.
I say that, I think that's time for us to take lifestyle audits in this country seriously. And I did hear the president at one time mention that he was considering that. I think that it should be made possible for us to have lifestyle audits on our appointees. Free education. You know, I come from the northern parts of this country, so one would say that we enjoyed the first bunch of free education that Kwame Nkrumah brought in the CPP government, which tells you that it's not a new thing. It's just that it was expanded by the Akufo-Addo administration to cover the rest of the country. But free education has been with us for quite a while. I think that the free education concept is not a bad one. Looking at the fact that we are a developing country, looking at the fact that we do have people who may not be able to afford. But there are some things that I think in the 8 years we didn't get right. We did not get right the fact that we didn't have infrastructure. It was not well thought out. We didn't have probably enough teachers. And then also financing was a problem. I think that the free education concept could do with a bit of review. Originally, I was saying to myself that if people can send their children to international schools where they pay dollars and huge sums of money, why can't they pay for their kids in senior high school? I thought that the free education should have been given to people in public schools, those who go to public schools, because they are the ones that do not really have. But then someone brought it to my attention that, well, we are all taxpayers. The ones who are sending their children to international schools and the ones who are sending their children to public schools are all taxpayers. So we should all benefit. But at the end of the day, at what cost? We have seen the quality of education nosedive. That's the honest truth if Ghanaians will be honest with themselves. We have seen schools take up so many people, so many students, and yet they could not deliver. And this is because you have increased the numbers going into schools, but you have not made provision for their infrastructure. You have not made provision for even the teaching materials, learning materials. You have not made provision for it. So what happened? Half-baked students came out of our systems. And if you talk to the universities, they will tell you that they had difficulties for those products coming from the free education system, especially the first 2 or 3 years. because they hardly could, match up to what was expected of them. So you find some not even being able to construct a sentence. Some of them, if you take someone with aggregate 54, 48, 54, and you put the person in a senior high school, you are doing more harm to that person than you think you are doing, thinking that I'm giving the person a free education. The rural woman is happy and excited because for once my child is going to go to secondary school. And that child goes to secondary school, doesn't pick up anything, comes back with a senior high school and thinks that I'm above the other menial jobs that are there. So I'm waiting for a blue collar job and all that. And then at the end of the day, there's confusion. And
so for you, these are the areas that the current government should look into. And I think that was what then former President John Mahama said during the campaign, that he wasn't going to scrap the free senior high school, and he was rather going to make it better, or the NDC government was going to make it better if indeed Ghanaians gave them the mandate, and Ghanaians have given them the mandate. So these are the areas you would want.
And for me, I think we need more day schools.
Yes.
We need more day schools than boarding schools. Boarding schools are expensive. Everyone would want to go to a boarding school, but boarding schools are expensive. So let's have more day schools. And as we get more day schools, it will come to a time where we can turn things around and say that if you want to go to a boarding school, you must be ready to pay. Anybody else who is intelligent, you see, you have to get, for those people who are from the not so rich areas or schools, having the opportunity to go to those schools that they want to go to by virtue of the fact that they are very intelligent. You understand? So that you don't get a 64 graded person going into an A school that is supposed to be 6 to 8. You understand?
Indeed. And I'll come to you, Professor.
So I think that we should have a rethink. I still think that the free is not. It's not hitting me well.
Let me read a few of your comments before I get your final thoughts, Professor Fusumensa. Abubakar Sadiq says, I don't know whether the MPP lawyers have their own law school or what, because all the MPP lawyers, the way them talk as a lawyer is different from other lawyers. We as lawyers or MPP lawyers are hypocrite lawyers. So many of you, Oforiatta is the mastermind behind all this. Bring him and other ministers to justice. I want to see more ministers, former information minister, health minister. So that's coming from Beauty. And so many of you have sent in your messages that we're unable to read all of that. And who does this woman think she is? She should know that we, the good people, we, the good Ghanaians, need to hear from the AG to know how far. So you're also against the stance of Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu to know how far he's gone with what her unscrupulous party appointees did. Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu is very annoying. She speaks like she owns the law. There's no difference between her and Tokonu. Okay, and a lot of you commenting on Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu. Okay, so Iyoko will come for that woman. Wait and see. Okay.
She doesn't hold any position.
And there is Anthony Atiso. I wonder things that she teaches because she confused one. Okay. There's Leonard Blebu, Attorney General's office. Is it a weak institution? Didn't Akufo-Addo remove Domlevo for investigating Osafuma for? Was that not destruction of a strong institution? Exactly. Okay, so many of you sending your messages, but let me get the final thought of Professor Benedicta Fusumensa.
Yeah, well, the NDC government, and for that matter, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama administration is an administration that fixes problem. We've done it before and we will do it again. With the energy sector, we had a problem in in fact, I would say since 1990 onwards. 2015, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama fixed the energy crisis before he left power. We have a problem with the free SHS. I want to tell Ghanaians, and for all those listening to us, that the NDC would continue with free SHS. We believe in access to education, not just access, but quality education. And so the problem that free SHS is facing, NDC has come to fix it, and we will fix it. So, Madam Gloria, For your information, NDC will fix it. Already we are taking steps to fix it. Let me just mention a few of them. One, we are taking steps to end the double track system. For the first time, students have come on holiday. They are spending just 9 days and they are going back to school. They are going to spend more days in school and have more contact hours with their teachers. There's also inclusion of private schools, in the free SHS.
Just to take off
more people
take care of the excess numbers.
Exactly. So the numbers are taken care of, and that is fixing the problem with free SHS. Again, feeding. There is an improvement in feeding. Just recently, we had directive from the president, asking buffer stock to take people who were complaining of having produced a lot of tomatoes, and they were not buying. All these is towards fixing problem with feeding in schools.
But
and I remember there was this viral video that went, and the students were showing the food that they were now, eating, talking about they are having sardine and that are buying
sustainability. Yes, but before you even go to the before, and I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Before you go to the feeding, there are those who are also complaining about even how they opened school, I think in September, they've had to go back. It looks like it's still not as smooth as it should be. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, this is a problem, an 8-year problem. This government is very young, just 10 months. And so they will not be able to fix all the problem within these 10 months. It's a gradual process. And I'm just giving you a list of some steps that they are taking to fix the problem. So we will not sit and blame the past administration for the bad approach that they gave as far as the free SHS is concerned. But we are taking measures to fix the problem. And I'm just giving you some steps that are being taken to fix the problem. So yes, there are still problems, but the NDC cannot fix all the problem within 10 months. But within these 10 months, we are taking steps. And one of it had to do with improving feeding in our schools.
If you could wrap up for us.
Again, government is saying that instead of centralizing the food system, let's decentralize it. And so by so doing, again, the local economy will also boom up. So indeed, NDC is fixing the problem.
NDC is fixing the problem. Prince Nanaya Oyok says, Beatrice, I felt heartbroken yesterday and this morning, although these are just allegations. Investigations uncovered everything. In which year were these purchases made? Ghana was truly a crime scene. Coming from Prince Nanaya Oyok. Thank you all very much for sending in.
I am with Prince.
Yes.
I'm so devastated. I mean, I'm getting messages of people telling me to cool down. They understand, but when it comes from an area that I belong, it's very painful.
Thank you so much, Madam Rodelyn Imoro Ayana, our public interest advocate. Always a great pleasure having you, as well as to you, Professor Benedicta Fosu-Mensah, member NDC National Communications team. Of course, we had as well with us Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu, who is managing legal practitioner, GOB law consult, lecturer, and we couldn't bring you Thomas Musa Tanko with Nat, but thank you so much. That'll be it for the big issue conversation today.